The president said today more than once, he talked about seeing the first signs of trouble 22 days ago. I'm going to play for you part of the problem with that. Here is the president 29 days ago.
We have done an incredible job. We're going to continue. It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And from our shores, it could get worse before it gets better. It could maybe go away. We'll see what happens. Nobody really knows.
Jonathan, again today, he said the quiet part out loud. If you're one of these governors facing a pandemic, needing help, you have to show appreciation.
Well, first of all, he's practicing some revisionist history with the timeline here. The president and his administration was very slow to move on this virus. They were tabletop exercises that he largely ignored last year. There was reports early this winter about the outbreak in China. He chose not to upset China and President Xi Jinping, a key trading partner, by publicly criticizing China's lack of transparency and put the American response behind the eight ball in many ways. And what we've seen now is today was a very revealing moment because it sort of outlined where we are. And there's a real tension here between the federal government and the states, the governors who are on the front lines. And my colleagues and I at the AP have been writing about this all week before the president said it out loud today. The idea that they are trying to navigate this sort of unprecedented global health crisis while also navigating an unprecedented president, one who is consumed with the cable news coverage of how this is going and how the federal government's response to the pandemic is being perceived. And he's particularly watching how he's appreciated or praised. He has been very critical of Jay Inslee. Yesterday, there was a conference call the president had with governors. Inslee pleaded with him to lead here, to be the Tom Brady, the soon-to-be Hall of Fame quarterback, Brian, this response, as opposed to being the backup, because that's what the president has said, that they feels like the state should have the onus here and the federal government should be sort of backing them up. We know that Governor Cuomo and he have gone back and forth. Cuomo has praised him at times, criticized him at others, and Trump has returned that in kind. And we are seeing here that there's a real uncertainty in state houses across the country, like that what the right approach is. Do they get on TV and criticize the president, try to get his attention? Maybe that will spur him to act. Or if they do that, will they engender his wrath and perhaps not get these vital pieces of medical equipment they so desperately need?
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.